Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gut Girls podcast. Today we are going to dive in and talk about B vitamins. And I want to be really clear right from the very start that I do believe B vitamins are essential for us. They're involved in our energy, our brain function, our hormones, red blood cells, our nervous system health. There's so many different things. But one thing that I find that's kind of a problem, especially as I'm looking through Instagram and hear people talk about being on TikTok or whatever, people are kind of acting like this is just an instant energy fix. You're going to feel so much better. Or it's some sort of like universal solution for why they're so tired all the time. Or, there's this word about methylation and do you have the MTHFR gene? And, so there's so much noise out there about B vitamins. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today. So, Angela, I want you to start off by telling us a little bit about what B vitamins are actually for.
Yeah, I mean, I would even go back a step farther I think what people get confused about is when they say like B vitamins, they like go after just one vitamin. Like it's like, hey, B12. Like I've heard I need B12. And so they like chase one B vitamin. And so I would even just remind you guys, like B vitamins there's a group of B vitamins that your body uses for, like Diana said, energy production, metabolism, brain chemistry, your mood, nervous system function. I mean, all the things, right? Even DNA repair. So there's a group of them. It's not just you need one B vitamin, B12, you just don't need folate, or B6, you need to have a balance of all the B vitamins. So B1, B2, B3, B6, B7, B9, and then there's B12. And so knowing that actually even changes the game, because we've seen a lot of clients really just focus on having one B vitamin in their like supplement regimen. And then the other B vitamins can actually get out of balance. And so then you can see symptoms kind of come from that. But then to answer Dinah's question, I don't know if most people, when they think of B vitamins, I think because of how marketing is these days, we think of a supplement. We truly do not think about where B vitamins come from. And guys, the best source of B vitamins is actually from food. And so I think because of marketing, we tend to forget like, oh, this is something that we can actually get from food. And so the highest sources are going to be like your beef and poultry, fish, seafood. Liver is a big one, even though it's hard to eat for a lot of people. It's probably one of the most concentrated sources. I know, like, even when if anyone's out there with, littles around 6 months to 9 months, they're just starting to eat some solids. One of the best ways to get nutrient dense B vitamins into them is to shred liver over like a puree. They have no idea what they're eating at that age, and they'll eat anything. So liver is a good source. But then for the people that just want maybe some of the more common foods, you've got egg, you've got dairy products, you've got leafy greens, you've got legumes in there. Even whole grains have some B vitamins. And so I think just reminding you guys that they naturally exist in food, and that is one of the richest sources to get them from. But we often undereat as Americans. We skip meals. We often miss that in food. And I would even say some of our dietary preferences can restrict B vitamins. So if we're not eating a lot of meat, I think of not just, vegans or vegetarians. Diana, I think of like even your husband, Todd, who was diagnosed with alpha-gal after a tick bite, and that limited, I mean, there's other ways to get it, and you guys are obviously very educated on how, but like for the average person, when they're told that they are diagnosed with alpha-gal, they're like, I can't, that takes a whole chunk of my nutrition away, which it does, but then they don't get enough B vitamins. And so then we do see the need for supplementation, right? So B vitamins, again, they come from food. There is a time and place for supplementation, and there is a group that we want to concentrate on, not just like individually one B vitamin or, the mixture of B12 and folate versus what about the whole group of B vitamins. So I think that's a good foundation to get them started on.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, one thing that matters so much too is the absorption of the B vitamins, right? And so it's not necessarily that you're going to take this B vitamin, it's going to give you all this energy. That's a little bit of a misunderstanding, right? It's not like taking caffeine. What it's doing is really unlocking the energy from the food you are eating. So that's why it's so important that you do eat, a well-balanced diet, because that's when, even if you're taking this B vitamin, this magic B vitamin, right, you still have to have the nourishment from the food to really, and the B vitamins are unlocking all those nutrients basically for your body to be able to absorb it well. And so you got to have both. You've got to have the fuel from the food, you got to have the B vitamins, or else your body isn't going to convert that well to energy.
Yeah. And think about like the people that, it's interesting when you say that, because some people have, let's say like a sufficient amount of B vitamins in their body, but maybe they're chronically stressed. And so like that stress can actually intervene with how B vitamins work in the body, right? And so there's these like little nuances that I think we don't actually hear about when we think of B vitamins, because like Dinah said, everyone's just like, think about all the energy drinks. What do they have in them? Yeah, they have caffeine, but don't they also have B vitamins? So I think we like put them together, like, oh, B vitamins are supposed to give me energy. And so now let's talk about why some people feel good on them and then some people don't feel good on them, because we've heard this too. A lot of our clients go on B vitamins because that's what they've been told. And again, we're not against that, but then they're like, gosh, now I'm wired. Now I'm way more anxious. So let's kind of break these two down. So some people feel amazing on them for a few reasons. Dinah had mentioned a little bit about unlocking. Let's say you have a really good diet. Okay, so a lot of our clients actually, there's like 50-50. 50% of them come to us and they've been researching their diet for years. They've been tinkering here and there. And then they realize B vitamins are the missing link. And then they feel amazing. But that's because, like Dinah said, their diet has been so good for so long. And maybe they were just chronically depleted of B. So then when they go on a B, it unlocks the energy for them. And it's truly feels like a magic pill. But we know that doesn't exist. But then for the other person that's like, okay, my friend said that the B vitamin was this magic pill and it's not working for me. That's usually the person, like I said, that didn't have such a good diet background. But also genetically, we're going to dive into the different forms of B vitamins, because genetically you may have more, like your DNA may set you up for not being a good person that detoxes. Like detoxing is just difficult for you, and that's okay. That is just your genetics. And so those B vitamins, if you're not actually getting the right kind, can actually make you more anxious, because your detox pathway is like clogged almost. You know what I mean? So you get all this, let's just say like the B vitamins, you're taking them, but then there's like a kink in the hose. Of course you're going to feel more anxious, right? With that. So Dinah, I know this is like, you had the Nature's Elite store, which was, like a store where people came to you with a lot of these questions about B vitamins, and you got kind of like the first hand experience on how to educate them around this methylated form. So what did you kind of see in the store, and how did you kind of steer them in the right direction with that?
Yeah, well, again, with social media and this massive amount of information that's out there, and I'm not saying all of it's bad, obviously, because there's so much good information. I mean, honestly, that's what we're doing, right? We're on social media and podcasts and whatever, just trying to share and educate people. And so, we hear this word methylated a lot because people are really starting to understand the difference in the quality of their supplementation that they're taking. And so what that means is they're finding out that methylated vitamins are really what we really should use for optimal absorption. And so it doesn't necessarily mean it's better. I mean, it does, but in a sense, it's really because our body can utilize it better. Mm-hmm. And so for some people, it kind of just like turns on those signals like we talked about, and because they were using maybe a form of folic acid instead of using the methylated version that's folate. And guys, I do want to say out there that folic acid is technically man-made. It is not a nutrient from the ground. Folate is a nutrient, and so that's why folate allows for that better absorption. So there really is something to this whole methylated thing. And, people talk about having the MTHFR gene where they don't get, excuse me, the metabolism of that folate well. And so we have to make sure that it is the methylated folate to be able to absorb well, unlock that energy that we're talking about. So people do begin to feel better after they start taking it, where they're not quite as tired, just like you were talking about it with their nutrition. It's unlocking that nutrition for them. And so I would say that, if you've tested yourself for the MTHFR, that's such a great tool for you to be able to know that. But I would still suggest for you have to kind of do the other work as well, because it's not necessarily just going to be this magic pill for you. You've got to do the stress. You've got to do, we got to make sure that there's no, major inflammatory patterns kind of that we see in your stool test. All the pieces have got to be pulled together in order for these B vitamins to be actually absorbed well.
Yeah. And I mean, it just takes me back to what I was kind of just saying too, of like, make sure you're doing the work for your detoxification pathways, right? Because if those are not stellar, maybe genetically they're just dysfunctional, then the B vitamin is not going to do what you want for you. And in fact, it can make you feel a little bit worse. And so I think what we're trying to get across is like, if you guys are listening, maybe you are on a B vitamin and you notice the difference. I mean, maybe you're like, it really did change my life. Fantastic. You probably had some of the foundational work going for you. And it, like Dinah said, it unlocked it. But if you're someone that's like, man, I keep trying this B vitamin and I'm feeling actually more anxious on it, guys, don't push through that. Like, just because someone said a B vitamin changed their life, don't push through the feeling of anxiety or feeling wired and tired. You might be missing a foundational piece first. So go back and, like Dennis said, work on that first. But I do think that this really matters for women, because even in the pregnancy world, right? Like, how many women are told to go on a prenatal? And most prenatals over the counter have the synthetic version that you were just talking about, like the man-made version. And guys, that affects so much of your metabolism while you're pregnant, but then babies' neurological develop while you're carrying them. So it is important to know what's in your vitamin, to know that you have a good source. And so, Diana, what will it say on the bottle? Like, if they literally have they're like, oh, what am I taking right now? What are they going to see on the bottle to know if they have a good B vitamin?
Well, they would actually see the methylcobalamin. You would see literally the word methylated. And one thing that I love about Gut Girls is we actually have the ability to be able to order these supplements through our Fullscript, through our membership, our Gut Girls membership. And so I'm not going to say, I haven't looked at every single supplement that's inside our little supplement store to make sure that everything on Fullscript is methylated, but my guess is it probably is, because the majority of them are going to be higher quality than what you're just buying from the drugstore. And so I love that in our membership, even if you just do like our lowest membership, that's a $15 membership, you have access to our supplement shop, and you can get discounts on there. You get 15% off on every supplement that you order from the store. So if you're looking for a B vitamin, then that would be a great thing for you to do. You can go to our website, gutgirls.health, and you can just sign up for that very first tier one. It's $15 a month. Then you have access to our supplements again that have the discounts. But what I also love is you have kind of a sneak peek into our community and our little support group. And so you can just fire out a message and be like, hey, what's your favorite B vitamin? And, and that's what I love so much about the women, because, sometimes it's not just me and you, we have some little mini gut girls that are inside our community that they're like, hey, this one is awesome. Look at this B vitamin.
I think we actually even had, I think recently someone had asked about methylated B vitamins, and then you get to see like, okay, some women are actually taking a full B complex, and we get to break down for you, okay, why are they taking a full B complex where this other person is taking a combination of B12 and folate, so methylcobalamin and methylfolate. There's so many B vitamins on the market, so it kind of helps you, again, not just have access to good quality in this membership, tier 1 membership, but it also helps you be able to like talk amongst the community and figure out what you need. And it's so important because, I mean, gosh, I think of some of our women that have struggled with like you guys that are listening are probably going to be blown away, but like things like reflux. And no joke, you can trace this all the way back to their body lacking B vitamins. Now, again, that might be because they weren't doing the foundation, or maybe chronic stress, whatever it was. But then we start giving them these B vitamins, and their body now can produce like the proper amount of stomach acid. So B vitamins they're not just, like we said, like it's not just energy. Stop thinking of it that way. I mean, gosh, they're involved in metabolism and even like I think of recovery is kind of the word I'm thinking of. But they're also involved in the actual stomach acid and saliva that your body is producing to help digest food. And so it could really be a piece of your transformation journey. And I love that they have access to it at such a low cost with our tier 1 membership. So, gosh, Dana, anything else that I'm trying to think of all the things we hear about B vitamins. We've got so many questions about these from our members. And I think it's just so important to talk about it because if you think about it, a lot of people are talking about, like, think about electrolytes and like the magnesium, the potassium that we're constantly talking about in that form. But we tend to like not separate them, I think, well enough to really educate women on what each one does. You know what I mean? Because it's so good to know that.
And it can be so overwhelming. There's just so many different things, just like you just said, the electrolytes of magnesium and potassium, and are you taking D3 with K2, and what about omegas, and I mean, and of course B vitamins now, and so you throw all of that in, and it just can be a little bit overwhelming. But inside that membership, that's where we try to just kind of help you balance it all out. We share with you exactly what we're doing, what our other members are doing, what supplements, what different food sources we like to use to make sure that we're getting B vitamins. And it's really interesting how people can start to journal their way through that and understand that when they're eating certain foods there, and then they track sort of their energy levels, they're not necessarily taking a B vitamin, but because they are doing those foundational things like the protein and things like that, they're actually feeling better and more energized, but it's getting unlocked, right? And so I love that.
Well, and I'll just say too, it's, I'd mentioned different choices of diet. So we've got, and there's nothing wrong with any, choice of diet. You've got vegans, vegetarians, pescatarians, all the things, right? And I would just say one thing that I think is under talked about is we do see on the GI map a very high correlation of people that are vegan or vegetarian lacking the ability to digest their food. Like literally, guys, there's a marker on the GI map called elastase 1, and it represents your pancreas's output of amylase, lipase, protease. Those are all enzymes that help break down literally carbs, fats, and protein. And there is a huge correlation. I mean, it is fact that people that do eat a little bit more of a vegan or vegetarian diet can have a lower level of that, so they do lack in digestion. But you can do it right. And so even when you come to the Gut Girls, we are not against, if that's your choice, we actually just educate you more of like, okay, if this is how you want to feed your body, we literally ask you to journal and we walk you through what are you eating, because there are B vitamins in a lot of foods, but are you getting enough of those? And then literally once we open their eyes up to, oh my gosh, I was under eating by choosing this lifestyle, and we get them more B vitamins, that changes dramatically. And we don't change the way that we don't change their lifestyle necessarily. We're just educating them on where do you get the B vitamins from? How do you, rest and digest? How do you get into that rest and digest state? So gosh, this is such a hot topic, I think, for all people out there, no matter what lifestyle, you choose to eat.
I love that you kind of wrapped it up with that, just because you don't necessarily eat be for whatever, like us, we still invite you in and we will work with you on whatever it is that you've chosen. And just to make sure that you're still kind of getting everything that you need to, that your body really needs, and that you're supporting it in that way. And so, again, we would love to work with you. And we'd also invite you to share this podcast with your friends. You can subscribe either on YouTube. I don't know if you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, and hopefully we'll eventually kind of grow that into other platforms as well. But right now we're on those two platforms, and we'd love for you to share it on Instagram, text it to your friends and family, and go ahead and subscribe to our channel as well. So we want to be able to continue to provide education like this B vitamins and our lifestyle tools and all the things that we're doing here at the Gut Girls. And so, again, please share. Thanks for joining us today. If you need anything, head to gutgirls.health. Should kind of walk you through how you can work with us, and we would love to do so.
The Gut Girls podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. We are not acting as licensed medical professionals. Always consult your doctor before making any changes to your health routine.